Welcome back to our online toddler program. It's week 2 this week, and this week we're going to be focusing on our flow movements and our bubbles. But before we do that, we're just going to have a quick review of last week's class. So last week we focused on cues and readiness. So what we want to make sure is before we ever tip water or begin a submersion with our child, we always cue them in appropriately. So we'd say, Billy, are you ready? 1, 2, 3. Then we pour the water from the top of the head and let the water run down the front. So from the top of the head and let the water run down, or from the back of the head and let it run down their back. Now, for our toddlers, we only just want to use a small amount of water. So 1/4 of a cup is probably enough to start with. And as they get more confident and more used to it, you'll see they'll start to show signs of readiness. They'll start to close their eyes. They'll start to be aware that the water's about to come. And that's when you can increase the amount of water that they have.
Ready? 1, 2, 3. Yay, Mom.
Mummy?
Bubbles. Good boy. Good Bubbles. Good girl. Ready? Lie down on your tummy. 1, 2, 3. Bubbles, bubbles, bubbles.
As we said earlier, today's class is going to be really focused around movement in the water and on blowing bubbles. Now, when we move our child through the water, it actually helps flow the water around our child. And what happens when the water flows around our child is it stimulates all the receptors in their skin, which stimulates the vestibular system and in turn increases their balance and relaxes them. So while you've got your child in the bath and you're holding them with their furthest arm away like we have been, move them through the water, flow them from side to side, forward and back. You can even get them to push their feet off the end of the bath and push back. So they start to get that feeling of the movement in the water. What that flow does is actually creates an uplift in the water and begins to let the child understand that the water will actually hold them up. So it's a really great thing to do for your child right from the start is lots of movement with them when they're in the bath, flowing them from side to side and moving them forwards and back. Just make sure you don't use too much force when you're moving them forwards and back, because what that can do is create a wave which will then force water straight up their nose. So we just want to make sure we're doing that really gently. Think Tai Chi or yoga, nice long actions as you're moving them forwards and back. Now, when we're blowing bubbles, bubbles are a fabulous way to help get our children comfortable with their faces near the water. So when you're trying to teach your child to blow bubbles, grab a cup yourself, fill it up with the water and practice blowing the bubbles into the cup and show your child what you're doing, that you're right close and get them to blow. When you're doing that, if you can make really loud noises and make it really fun, not only will it be funny for them because they think bubbles are hilarious, it will also really help them understand what the action is that you're wanting to do. So make sure big bubbles and really fun actions while they're in the bath.
Great Bubbles. Good girl. Can you do noisy bubbles in the bath? You show us how you blow noisy bubbles. Oh, were they noisy?
Yeah.
Good girl. Want to do it one more time? Go. Oh, good girl, darling.
Babies and young children learn through all of their senses. So you might find when your baby is trying to blow bubbles, they might start to lick at the water, or they also might drink a little bit of the water. That's them actually experimenting and working out whether their environment is safe. So just remember that that's all natural. Another great way to get your baby to blow bubbles is to blow bubbles on their skin. So get down low in the bath with them and blow little raspberry bubbles for them in the water. Not only does that stimulate those neurosensors that we were talking about earlier, it also is absolutely hilarious. They think it's funny and they love it. So really make sure you interact with your child while you're doing the bubbles, noisy bubbles, quiet bubbles, loud bubbles, all sorts of different bubbles to really make sure that bath time is a fun and happy time for you both.